What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Phaithful Phanatics show. Hope everyone had a happy and eventful Halloween weekend. Uh, Welcome to November. Thank God. I'm tired of that boring ass holiday. Again, how was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was the first weekend, and I don't even know where Philly sports looked up for a little bit. Um,
That's very
yeah,
true.
I agree with the Halloween take. So overrated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that
But
next. Like,
yeah,
what's your take on Halloween?
such an overrated holiday. Don't get me wrong; it's cool to go out and have a fun time at like a party or something. But
Yeah, I mean, it's great for all that. And obviously, last year, not that, people, let's not kid ourselves. It's not like everyone, didn't do anything last October for Halloween during COVID, but, that was taken away from us for a while. And then it was nice to be out, but so overrated. And then I'm trying to watch football yesterday and ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And it's like, try to convince my parents to put the ball out on the step, but they won't go for that. So all right, let's get into today's show. Obviously, the Faithful Fanatics is streaming to you guys live through DSM Media on our Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube pages. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, wherever you get your social media content. And of course, on Twitter at DSM_media. You can find our link tree in our bio there. Again, we got to talk birds today. We got to talk Sixers. Would love to talk puck with you, but you are just constantly slacking in that area. So we'll have to improve there. You see the banners? You see the background getting up there? It's not just Sixers banners, okay? You see the right side of that? There's a very important piece to that building up there on the right side, and you just ignore them constantly, but that's neither here nor there. Let's start with the Philadelphia Eagles as they go down to Detroit on Halloween and take down the winless Lions 44-6. Lions improve to 0-8, and the Eagles obviously get to 3-5 on the year. It is our third victory Monday. I guess a win is a win, Gint. So I guess we can talk about that. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, Gint. I came away with nothing from this game. It meant nothing. I learned nothing. And then we can obviously dissect it a little bit and talk about the good things that they did, because there were some good things that they improved upon this week. But again, it's not my problem that it's versus the Lions. So, week one, I bought in when you beat a bad Falcons team, and other people were saying it's just the Falcons. Well, no, man, they did this, they did this. Now I'm at the point where it's just the Lions. Like, that team is bad. And yes, I was wrong. I picked the Lions to beat the Eagles. That was more out of anger and sadness and frustration with the Eagles and their performance in Vegas. But I mean, Jared Goff, I don't know how that man ever started in a Super Bowl. I don't care how good his supporting cast was. He is a wreck there in Detroit. They have a lot to figure out. That defense is brutal. The Eagles finally learned how to stop the run. Holy hell. If you see what happens when you bring some pressure. But we'll get into all that. But the bottom line is this, Skin. It was even all week long, and it was even yesterday morning before the game. Growing up, I've always been, I don't know, emotionally invested, I guess, in Eagles games every week. Every single game, no matter if they were good, they were bad. I've seen a lot of good. I watched this team win its first and only Super Bowl in franchise history. I've seen a lot of bad. I've seen a lot of ugly over the years. But no matter what, I've always been locked in on game day. I've always been ready and pumped up for game day. And that just wasn't the case. Yesterday, for the second time now in 2 years, I wasn't invested. I was not invested whatsoever at the end of the 2020 season. The games just did not matter to me. I didn't care about seeing Jalen Hurts come in as the backup and see what this team could do with him. I didn't care. And that's how I felt yesterday. They scored, didn't care. They ran the ball with success, didn't care. They forced a turnover and took it to the house. I did not care, because the bottom line, again, is this team has sucked the life out of me for 7 straight weeks before this game. And until I see you commit to something, until I see you have success with something for more than 1 week against a winless Detroit Lions team, I do not care. This game meant nothing. I learned nothing. And that's kind of at the point. I think I don't even care that they won. I think that's the sadness. That's the sad truth to all of this.
yeah, you said it very very well. I mean, you started off by saying the winless Detroit Lions. That tells you everything you need to know in terms of why the game looked like it did yesterday. Detroit is a train wreck, like you had mentioned. The Eagles were able to stop their strength, which is running the ball with that backfield that they have. But like you said, I need to see a much bigger sample size of it to believe anything, to have any hope towards anything, as in your head coach or your quarterback. I have zero hope still. That has not changed. Um, Running the ball means nothing to me in that game. I get it. Boston Scott and Jordan Howard scored 2 touchdowns apiece, but again, means nothing to me. You said it really well also with the just so uninterested. Like, I
Yeah.
looked at that Thursday night game this week and I was like, wow, I missed this. Like, that was an absolute battle of 2 great teams that everyone wanted to see. And then I was like, the Eagles are going to play as the 2-5 Eagles versus the 0-7 Lions. Like, we are at rock bottom in terms of fandom in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, and I get, you play who's in front of you, and they handled a bad team. Congratulations, it's what you were supposed to do. But again, I took nothing away. I didn't watch Jalen Hurts yesterday and think, and this isn't a knock on Jalen Hurts. This isn't a dig at him. He didn't do anything wrong yesterday. So this isn't a Jalen, isn't the guy because of this performance. But in that win, in that blowout of a win, I didn't come away knowing anything from a perspective of Jalen Hurts is growing as a quarterback. Jalen Hurts improved in this area yesterday. Jalen Hurts looked good in a weakened area yesterday. I learned nothing about that. I mean, the numbers are what? He was 9 of 14 passing for 103 yards. Obviously, 0 touchdowns. Used his legs well. Had that one escape for a first down. I think like 7 carries or 6 carries for like 70, 71 rushing yards. So he was fine. But I didn't come away from that win thinking, he improved. And then when you get to Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff, and you talked about the rushing attack, and it was there yesterday. The Eagles combined for over 230 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 apiece from Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. So it looked good, and I'm glad that he stuck with it throughout the course of the game. It was there from the start, and it was kind of a we're going to do this until you prove you can stop it type of mentality. And they didn't. The Lions never caught up. The Lions never slowed down the Eagles' rushing attack. So that was great. My question is, what the hell took you so long? It just, if anything, I think it exemplifies the ineptitude of Nick Sirianni and his coaching staff. Like, okay, I'm not going to do this with Miles Sanders. So when he goes out, I'm going to elevate Jordan Howard from the practice squad. I'm going to use Boston Scott for the first time in 7 weeks. He's been on the active roster this whole time, Gint, and he hasn't seen the field whatsoever. And the week that these two are my starting running backs, I'm going to pound the rock. Congrats, it worked. But what were you doing the previous 7 weeks? And what are you going to do after this? The Chargers, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, are the worst rush defense in the entire National Football League, or right there at the bottom. They cannot stop the run. If you come out at home, 4:05 this Sunday, Gint, you'll be there, I think, and he doesn't run the football, that's my whole point. I need to see it just one more week. You mentioned sample size in your statement, Gint. Yeah, but I just need one more week. I just need 2 games in a row where you establish something positive. I can say, okay, it looks like we're trending in the right direction. This week against the Lions, it means nothing. I'm still so sour on this team. It honestly hurts to talk about them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like, you can't even like pretend like laugh about it because it's just so irritating. And like you mentioned 10 times, what was the first 7 weeks? Why was this never? Why did it take this long? It should not have taken this long. I know you won 44 to, what was it, 44-6 was the final
Yeah.
score. Jalen Hurts threw the ball 14 times. So what does that tell you now going forward?
Right.
Now, I'm
And
not saying
again,
he needs to throw the ball in the teens for us to win. Don't get me
right.
wrong, but if he drops back 30 plus times against LA next week, we'll be right back in the same boat. We'll lose again. We'll lose by a couple touchdowns, and we'll be ready to pack it up and get a first round pick.
But it's even the other side of the ball, and the defensive coordinator as well. Like, oh my God, I'm going to dial up pressure. And we have 4 sacks in the first half. I believe the defense finished with 6 sacks on the game Sunday against the Lions and Jared Goff. And it's like, it didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me say, "Hey, maybe they're learning from their mistakes and they're going to do this forward." No, it made me think, what on God's green earth have you been doing this entire time? Like it didn't click to you before this that maybe not even all the time, just here and there, I'm going to dial up a pressure, I'm going to dial up a blitz and it's going to work. It never clicked to you that maybe we shouldn't have a rookie quarterback. So basically, who has struggles as a passer in this league early in his career, maybe we shouldn't drop him back 48 times and we should run the football because it's the strength of our offensive line. It didn't make me feel good at all. And I would love to hear from fellow Eagles fans of where you're at. I did see some overreaction on Eagles Facebook. I don't think that's a shock to anybody, but apparently we're going to run the table now. And it just, I guess that's where I want to take the conversation again is like, what's it going to take for you to not buy in? Because there's nothing to buy into. This isn't, oh, I'm buying in because I think this team can make a run. This isn't, the Philly season, but, being out on them, buying back in because we think they're going to win the division. But what's it going to take for you to kind of just be into a game again? Like you're going to the game this Sunday. Are you looking forward to anything outside of just the experience? Like you're going down with your boys, you're going to tailgate, you're going to have a good time. Crowd's probably going to be pretty cool. Like it's a 405 game, Chargers, Justin Herbert. It's going to be cool. But are you like if it was me, I'm not heading into the link like here we go, like game time.
No,
I just have no emotion.
You're saying it perfectly because we went down the one year when I don't know if it was the year New England went undefeated or not, but they were playing New England at home, and we knew we were going to get stomped. But like we still went in there and with like this sense of like optimism, like
Yeah.
who knows maybe, like even though there might be a who knows maybe like feeling going in this week, it's just like
Again, that's
who,
my
who do
point.
I want to go watch? They don't throw the ball at Devonta Smith. He's the only one I want to see on the offensive side of the ball. They don't throw him the ball. I hate Jalen Reagor. Like they traded Zach Ertz. Like Dylan, there's nothing. Remember you and I talked last year. We're like, there's nothing to root for going forward. There's nothing. And then in the offseason, the new regime, we were like, oh,
Right,
this
you
is actually
try to
pretty
buy
cool.
back in. It's
Maybe.
like it's a prove
And
me wrong
oh,
mentality.
dude, no, we got proved wrong by that, or we got proved right by just this awful regime. And at this point, you're just looking for who might be able to stick around. And after that, I'm ready to just start cutting guys loose.
I'm
Trade
ready for the
here,
off
trade
season.
there.
Hopefully it is a fun and improving off season
Hopefully, it's
with
a
the
purge.
potential. Yeah, 3 first round picks. Now, I do want to bring up something that Phil brought up earlier on Twitter. Phil Phaithful from DSM Media here. He put out a tweet stating basically, the rumors are all about centered around Fletcher Cox. Oh, it's very hard to trade Fletcher Cox with his money and his production and all right now. And what are you really, not that you wouldn't get, anything back for Fletcher Cox, but you're not going to get what you would get for Fletcher Cox 3 years ago, right? Reversely, you have a younger, faster, more explosive, you know, defensive tackle, and Phil, I'm shouting you out here, and Javon Hargrave. And while it sounds like, dude, why would we trade Javon Hargrave? Well, realistically, when you think about it, when's this team going to be good again?
2071.
3+ years, maybe. Like, and I mean, like, good as in, like, could win the division and make some noise. Like, more than 3 years, probably, right? Well, Javon Hargrave is going to be past this level of production. So, why not move Javon Hargrave for more of a package than you get for Fletcher Cox at the moment?
At this point, like, who's really off the table is a better question. I mean, I don't know. Devonta Smith isn't going to be moved. Obviously, they probably will keep Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. They're probably off the table. After that, man, I don't think there's a name you can't listen. Like, can't not listen to offers. Who else?
I don't think so.
Like, no one's going to try to make a move for Jalen Hurts. It's not going to happen.
No.
And you probably want to keep him around for the rest of the year. But, dude, I would go to Kansas City right now and give them the depth chart and say, who do you want? I'll make offers. We'll throw you anyone you please.
It is really sad that we've gotten to this point, and it's even like normally the trade deadline, which comes up tomorrow, I believe, is a all right, let's see what we can do here to kind of get us over the hump. And that's just not the case here. And I even see like the rumors of Devontae Parker being on the move. And,
These are the
last year
rumors every year, dude.
and 2 years ago, it was great. But like, I'm even seeing like Scotty, like Eagles fans and people I talk to are like, oh, like, would you do this? And it's like, sure, I would. But like, we're not in a buyer's position right now. We're not going into the trade deadline as buyers. So there is no sense in moving whatever for Devontae Parker. For any wide receiver at that fact. Do the Eagles need a true veteran wide receiver? Yeah, they do. But for what? Especially, I mean, and I don't know the length of Devontae Parker's contract. Maybe he's locked up for 2+ more years, and maybe that's why it would make sense. But like when you talk about Allen Robinson, Devontae Parker, like how many years do they have left? As to where it would have to be more than 1 year left for it to make sense to build for the future. So trade deadline not important.
No, it's important. I just think you have to be a seller.
Yeah. As far as this season goes,
don't be this fake pretender because we won a game and we're like, don't do it. Like,
no,
like, why not Devontae Parker 6 weeks ago? Why Devontae Parker now?
Now I do want to check something after yesterday because with the extended playoff, meaning there's a third wild card team this year. I was looking 2 weeks ago. I was looking at the playoff picture, and it's just like in the NFC, who's going to make it? And I remember like the Falcons and the Vikings were like fighting for that third spot. So like right now, dude, and I'm not kidding with you. So you have your division winners in Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa, and the Cardinals. The Rams or Cardinals, whoever don't win that, it's going to take the first wild card spot. The Saints are sitting at 5-2. Obviously, we know their issue now with Jameis Winston going down for the year, so they could plummet. Who knows what they're going to do at the deadline? But let's say they even take the 6th spot. Now 7, the Panthers are 4-4. The Falcons are 3-4. The Niners are 3-4. The Seahawks are 3-5. The Vikings are 3-4. The Bears are 3-5. We're 3-5. I pray to God, who isn't sitting in his office of the mindset of let's do something to try to sell our fan base on a play on the 7th seed in the NFC.
Golden Tate.
Because I promise you, there's reasonable Eagles fans are going to be like, there's no way, blah, blah. I'm with you, right? That's not the case at all. You're not making the playoffs. You're not doing anything. But I promise you, you go on the internet, you talk to Eagles fans around there, the hopeful Eagles fans. They're going to say we're 3-5. We have maybe the easiest schedule in the NFL left, right? Why not? Why can't we, beat out the Vikings or the Falcons or the Panthers or the Niners for a wild card spot? Because it's not out of the question, right? To me and you, it is. But statistically, mathematically, it's not out of the question that the Eagles can sneak into a.
I wonder what their playoff percentage chance is. It has to be. Probably.
Well, you would think it's low with what we've watched this year. What I'm saying is when you look at the basement of the NFC, the bottom half of the NFC, the records are not good. And like I said, the Saints, who are right now the 6th seed, just lost their quarterback and really don't have a replacement plan unless it's Taysom Hill. So if they start, loss, you're looking at 2 seeds have opened up with an easier schedule favoring the Eagles. There's going to be a fan base out there that's thinking, why not us? Why can't we do this?
Eagles have a 21% chance of making the playoffs currently. I think I'd probably put that. I think they probably have a 15% chance. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest with you. Just like you said, because of all the weird storylines that are happening. Russell Wilson's still not playing. James Winston's out for the year. There's teams with a lot of problems. But again, don't be a fake buyer. This is not a team that's competing. Don't go sell something or not. Don't buy something.
Can I tell you something? Now, let me ask you this, because this is the biggest hypothetical and biggest crock of shit conversation that we're going to have on this show. But now that I'm thinking about it, right, and we're talking about being emotionally invested, what would you do if that happens? If they could sneak into a 7th seed? Because on one hand, it's your favorite team. It's my favorite team. It's a playoff game, right? On the other hand, it would be the worst thing that could possibly happen in maybe this franchise's history.
We would go to Dallas at that point.
It would be the worst thing to happen.
Could you imagine?
Because guess what? Because then Howie can sit there and he can back up his coaching hire, who we know is a mistake, can back up Jalen Hurts, and maybe they he took us to the playoffs in his first year. He could be the guy. Like, what happens? Am I excited? Am I pissed off? Am I depressed? I don't know. Again, this isn't going to happen, but we do know the schedule. And somehow, dude, like if they go out and beat the Chargers on Sunday, this fan base is going to light on fire.
Don't, dude. You got I'm like searching.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If mathematically, if they beat the Chargers on Sunday, they're 4-5. You're floating around that 7 seed at that point.
Don't say
with what? With what? The Broncos, the Jets, Washington, the Giants, the Saints, who just lost Jameis, their quarterback, and then really Dallas one more time at home.
I know that's not for a conversation for here, but I wonder if they'll roll the dice with Trevor Siemian after last night, or they'll go this Taysom Hill way. But I don't know. I think they're going to get smacked by Denver. I think they're going to get smacked this weekend, and we'll be back in the conversation of.
So do I. But I'm just saying, on the off chance that Nick comes out and runs the football and the Chargers can't stop it, it's at home. They pick off Justin Herbert once or twice. They pull out a win. They're 4-5. Oh my God. I guess my whole point of this stupid conversation is I am the biggest Eagles fan I know. And I don't even have an emotional feeling on that. Like there is no want. I have no want for this team to like make a
no
push.
One should. No one should at all.
Play out the scenario that you just said. That happens. They play the Dallas Cowboys in a playoff game.
Yeah, they lose 4.
So like as Eagles fans, like what do we do? What do I do? I'm so out right now.
Well, here's the thing, though. If we get to that point, there's going to be so much that had to change naturally, because if they're going to win that many games, we're going to have to see some substantial growth in certain places.
That's true.
So we might be in by that point. But again, we're having this convo, and then in 2 weeks, we're going to look back on this. Did we really consider that for a second?
That was fun, wasn't it? That was a fun little conversation. Right? All right, let's move on, because that's all, guys. I don't have any dissection of this game. I can tell you what happened. The Eagles ran the ball. They played good defense. They got after Jared Goff, and they stopped the run. They won 44-6. They beat a winless Detroit Lions team. I have nothing to take away. I learned nothing about this team from that game, and it's on to the Chargers now. Like I said again, this is where we will learn something. Learn something whether, you go and get your ass beat by a formidable team and you just can beat up on the basement of the NFL, right? We'll learn if Nick Sirianni, continues this. We'll learn if Jonathan Gannon continues his game plan from this past week that worked. We'll see if Jalen Hurts, how he plays against a formidable team. We'll learn more about this team this week, even in a loss, than we will have in a 44-6 blowout win in Detroit. Again, any final words on the Birds?
No. Not at all.
To put it politely, absolutely not.
No, actually, let me ask you this. What do you think Miles Sanders thinks? That's another question for you.
Well, here's the best part. Like, I think I saw a tweet. I think John Clark put out, or someone, that Nick Sirianni said after the game he received a text from Miles Sanders saying, like, in all caps, like, hell yeah, coach, or something like that. And, like, maybe that's true. But at the same time, if I'm Miles Sanders, I'm like, WTF, dude. Like, you refuse to get me involved, and then you elevate Jordan Howard off the practice squad for the 97th time in the last 2 seasons. And here he goes, crossing the pylon twice. Boston Scott gets in the end zone twice. They both get double-digit carries. It's like, if I'm Miles Sanders, I'm not like, hell yeah, coach. I'm like, coach, we're going to fight when you land back in Philly. Like what's the issue? What issue do you have with me? But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a building step. Maybe they learn something about each other. Here's my list. Here's something I'll throw to you. Did you hear the Jason Kelsey audio when they were walking in the locker room?
No.
They were all excited, obviously, after the win, and
Yeah.
he was on camera saying like, "Hell yeah, blah blah. Let's keep whatever he said." And then he said something about growing those roots. And it's like I have a question now. Is it real? Like, did they somehow take that speech and they're using it as that he means that, or was it like a subtle jab out loud? I don't know. We can't say. I can't speculate and be like Jason Kelsey was mocking Nick Sirianni with that quote because he didn't say it to a reporter. He just said it out loud walking in the locker room to his teammates. But it's like, really? I can't picture Jason Kelsey taking that seriously and being like, "Look at those roots grow. Let's keep watering those roots." Like I don't know, dude. So again, I have no read on this team as of right now. They're 3-5. They've now beaten the Lions, the Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers, and they've gotten their ass whooped by any formidable team so far. They get the Chargers this week. They're coming off of back-to-back losses, right? The Chargers lost to Baltimore, then had a bye, and now they just lost at home to Mac Jones and the Patriots. So we'll really see what this Eagles team may or may not be about this Sunday. Gint will be there. So again, I'm sure you'll have fun, but let's hope you can enjoy the inside of this of the game as well. Let's move on to the more positive portion of the show, being our 76ers. Gint. Last time we spoke, last show we did, they were just starting a 4-game homestand that night against Detroit. Obviously, they handled Detroit. They played Joel Embiid, which you and I said that we wouldn't. They play them anyway. They handle the Pistons. And then for the first time since Game 7 of the second round last year, they meet Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, and the Sixers get their revenge. The Sixers handle them. It all around solid performance. There was no late run by the Hawks where, even the Pistons game, the Sixers got up 20 or whatever. They gave up a late run, and it's something we've been seeing through the first few games of the season. The Hawks, they really didn't give up any late run where it was like, oh shit, like here we go again. I think my biggest takeaway, and it's my first takeaway, I'll throw this to you, is you did that to a solid Hawks team, who obviously took us out of the playoffs last year, without, and it's kind of been a season trend now. You've done this and you did that without needing a Superman Herculean performance from Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid only shot 5 of 13 from the field Saturday night against the Hawks. He had under 20 points, I believe. I think he finished with 19 or so. So yeah, like you beat up on what some considered heading into this year a Hawks team that's better than the Philadelphia 76ers. You did that without needing Joel Embiid to drop 35. So that's my first takeaway. What did you see Saturday night versus Atlanta?
I'm going to jump to Thursday first, though.
Okay.
Because it kind of ties in with the take. So Thursday was really alarming to me. Took Joel to put up 30 and 18 against Detroit in October to get a win, and looked not good, to say the least. Ball was really stagnant. Offense was so ISO-based. It just looked really not promising. And then, of course, Saturday they come around. The ball jumps around like it's a hot potato, and Sixers crush Atlanta. It just makes total sense to what we talked about on Thursday when we said this team just plays down to competition and plays up to competition. And you could tell there was a star on this game from the beginning. They were ready for this one. Doc was ready for this one. Everyone was ready for this one. Trae Young did not play well. Maxey held his own beyond with probably one of the best 4 guards in the Eastern Conference. Tobias has been awesome so far at the start of the season. He looks like he's in midseason form. He just looks like a grown man. And then, dude, Philly got to the line 18 times on Saturday and made 17 of the free throws, which
that's big.
In the playoffs we did not see that type of production from the line. But all in all, dude, they looked way more promising on Saturday. I had a sense of optimism. The starters looked good. Matisse came in and was an absolute spark plug on the defensive side of the ball. Like, Cam Reddish had a really good game, but like it got overshadowed by what Matisse was doing to him, man. But all in all, like I said, Doc did a really good job of getting Tyrese Maxey downhill against Atlanta, which he didn't do in Detroit. It seems like Maxey was being so stagnant, just giving the ball up and going to be like a corner spot up guy that he's just not. Shake's been good in back-to-back games, which is someone we definitely highlighted that we needed back. They just need
I do
someone
want to
else.
talk about him in a second.
Yeah,
I do
absolutely. They just need someone else on another unit that can handle the ball. And dude, Shake off the catch and shoot is just spectacular, which is another thing that the Sixers really need. So
Yeah.
all in all, Saturday was awesome.
So a few things there. You touched on Maxey, and that was one of the biggest points of this game. Not only did he contribute 16 on 6 of 8 shooting, he held his own on the defensive side of the floor against Trae Young, a top 4, top 5 guard like you just mentioned, which I think was pretty big as a stepping stone, a building block going forward for this team and this backcourt, because we talk a lot about the top tier of the East, or the top 5, 6 seeds of the East are loaded guard heavy and wing heavy, and how are they going to defend that without 2-5? And the fact that the team that knocked you out in bad fashion last year, the dude that gave you a problem, again, this means nothing about playoff time. It's only game 6 of 82. But to see Tyrese Maxey step in right off the jump and give Trae Young issues on that side of the floor was really nice. You mentioned Mitzi Steibel. Not only did he play stellar defense game, he also gave you 11 points, which I think was pretty big. He took 3 threes. He only made one of them, but he took 3 threes. Obviously, I like to see that. And you mentioned his defense. I'm waiting for one of these times for him to be able to raise up for a block, and I'm waiting for him to just catch it.
Dude, he almost did it today.
I know. Like, it's one of these times, I think he's just going to go up without even trying, and he's just going to palm a ball out of midair.
Dude,
And he's going to come down
straight. It was like a volleyball spike.
Yeah.
This thing just went straight to the floor.
Yeah, dude. If his hands were a little bit bigger, he's palming that shit. And then he had the one, I forget who was in the corner open for 3, and Matisse,
it was Cam Reddish again.
And he just sends that into the 5th row as well. Like, he was all over the place. That was great to see. Obviously Danny Green hit 2 threes. That was great to see. I do have just this completely off-topic side note here, but you'll appreciate this story. So George Ryder and I, we've been we've been tailing each other and betting together, and we got hot Thursday night. So Saturday night we put in a same game parlay on the Sixers Hawks. It's like 8 or 9. I think it was 9 legs. We hit 8 of 9 legs. You want to take a guess at what the one leg we missed? I'll give you a little hint. I have never in my lifetime before that night bet on this man to do anything.
Had to be a Farrakh over made threes. He had 0.
Just one made 3-pointer. That's all I needed. One made Furkan Korkmaz 3-pointer away from a very nice payout, dude.
Yeah.
Like when I tell you heart shattering and just building a rage and fire I have deep down inside for this man already. And it was just more irritating because I've praised him through the first 5 games four or 5 games this season. Praised how he's looked. My man jacks up the ball every time he gets in the game when I don't want him to. Saturday night, I need him to make 1 3-pointer. He doesn't take a shot in the first half. Not a single sole shot attempt in the first half for Furkan Korkmaz. Comes in, what did he finish? 0 for 3 from deep. Like, oh man, very, very heartbreaking and disappointing. But again, let me talk to you about, again, it's going to sound really stupid because it doesn't say anything, so to speak, because it's game 6 of 82. But we talked about not learning anything from the Eagles game. Can you learn something from this game? Did you take away anything in terms of, meeting a match in Atlanta who's probably a top 5, 6 seed in the East and handling them well?
Yeah. Even though, like I said, I think this one was marked on their calendar a little bit, but it doesn't have much to do with it as well as like meeting a match with Atlanta as taking away positives, which we haven't been able to do much in the beginning of this year with the Sixers, I feel like. Tyrese Maxey, again, seems so stagnant on offense. I feel like Doc kind of opened up a new book for him, or a new page in the book, I should say, for him to just get him to play to his strengths, because he wasn't in the beginning, or I shouldn't say the beginning because it is still the beginning of the season, but the first couple of games. So I think that's huge, just getting him going. And then, I mean, dude, Seth is still just on a flamethrower of the start of the season. I'm pretty sure he's at like 64% from beyond. He's been like nothing short of incredible. So there's positives to take away as opposed to that dumpster fire that wears green.
Yeah. You did bring up someone else that I wanted to discuss earlier. It was only his second game back. And again, some of my anger on Saturday night based towards this man might have been for the simple fact that his bench unit partner, I needed to just hit a three-pointer, and he was taking shots and opportunities away from my parlay. But Shake Milton comes back. He scores 11 in 18 minutes, 5 of 11 overall from the field, which is nice to see. And I know it's only his second game back, so he was hitting front rim. He was short on many of his jump shot attempts. He was 1 for 6 from deep. But something I just like noticed in that game, Shake is not shy, bro. And like, let me like, do you ever find yourself like getting annoyed at Shake's willingness to put up the ball when it's in his hands?
Dude, you have to because he's so hot and cold. Like, remember it was like game 2 last year of the Atlanta series when he went off and basically stole a game
Yeah.
for us that we were going to lose.
Yeah.
Like, that's the nights where you're like, just shoot it, shoot everything. And then there's nights where, oof, he can't
Like,
decide
dude,
the barn, dude.
again, it was just me being mad because I got down to the point where I just needed Ferk to hit 1-3, and every time they came down on offense, it just felt like Shake was just putting one up.
Yeah.
But it was like, and he was short on everything, bro. Front rim on every 3-point attempt. And I'm just like, Shake, pass the damn ball, dude. Like, it doesn't need to go up every time Shake's got it. Like, it's not Shake time tonight, all right? So let's pump the brakes. But obviously, long term, bigger picture, Shake's offense and willingness to score and shoot is needed. As whether it's off the bench unit or if they do end up flip flopping. Now, let me ask you something. This, might be the last topic of this Hawks game, and then we'll talk a little bit about the matchup tonight. But we talk a lot about Maxey moving maybe to the bench unit, and with Shea coming back, do you make that flop? Do you think Maxey, with the way he's played through the first 6 games offensively, and then obviously you see his performance defensively versus Trae Young and the Hawks, do you think he's like making it, how difficult is he making it for Doc to make that switch once Shake gets, his legs back under him? Because if Maxey keeps dropping 16 and whatever on high percentage shooting from the field, and he's picking his spots from deep, and he's holding his own on the defensive end, how do you pull him out of that starting 5 unit?
I think you worded it perfectly. And it's a really tough decision for Doc to make, essentially, because we talked about how gassed Joel was, well, he looked, and how he was with the usage rate he was getting. And with Maxey, you're going to see that usage rate go down if you want him to play the way he did on Saturday, which might be something Philly wants in the long run with Joel. But is Doc willing to take the ball out of Joel's hands a little bit and put it in a second-year guy's hands? And we talk about the Rajon Rondo stories all the time with Tyrese Maxey. It's such a good comparison because the guys around him are guys that have proved in the league year in and year out, as opposed to this young guy who has a lot of promise and has shown good flashes, but I don't think he's getting taken out anytime soon, especially like you said, if he's going to put up 16 and you're able to. I mean, Joel still played. What did he play? He played 30 minutes in a blowout. So he still played, and he went 5. He took 13 shots, 5 of 13. So if he goes 7 of 13 from the field, we're having a different story about how he played probably 22 minutes, and they beat him by even more. So for now, I don't think that move's happening. I think Tyrese is going to make it really tough on Doc. Unless Doc switches things up again and puts him back in the corner, gets Joel a lot more touches, gets Tobias more touches, gets Seth more touches. So he's definitely going to make it difficult. The kid is just attack the rim at all costs.
He's got a high motor, dude. Like the kid's on 100% go at all time. That Energizer bunny, hair flopping around, biggest smile on the planet at all times, no matter what. The kid's a freaking spark plug, which, brings up the point, would be nice in a bench type of unit as well. Something real quick, again, going back to him, just with his trigger and his willingness to shoot the ball. You just wrapped up my thoughts perfectly from Shake Milton on Saturday night. Joel Embiid took 13 shots in 29 minutes. Tobias Harris took 13 shots in 31 minutes. Shake Milton took 11 in 18 minutes. I mean, dude, he gets the ball and it's Shake time. Like, let's go.
To put into comparison, also, it's going to be I wonder how much that would change if he gets to the first unit and
Right.
Maxey flips to the second unit, how many shots he's going to take. I
That's
think
fair.
whoever leads that second unit, just because the personnel around him right now is Matisse, Korkmaz, Georges Niang, Andre Drummond, guys that don't want to play make. They want to either spot up shoot or sit in the dunker spot if you're Andre Drummond and just throw it down. So that second unit point guard between one of those two guys is going to have to get him up there. So both of them fit the role in terms of guys that love to get the ball up.
I think Shake's trigger is a little more quick than
Yeah,
Maxey.
I think it is, especially from beyond the arc.
Maxey's a little more
Maxey's just
hesitant.
on go mode at all times.
Yeah. But
Shake sees nylon.
Shake's cocked and loaded, bro. Like
Yeah.
that ball's going up. All right. Let's get to tonight's matchup as the 76ers host Dame Time and the Portland Trailblazers. No Joel Embiid tonight due to rest. Other than that, the injury report seems clean. Again, unless anything, let me check real quick. Nothing else has popped up. So obviously still no 2-5 and Joel Embiid out for a rest night. Andre Drummond starting in place of Joel Embiid. Again, this line
Is
obviously
that confirmed? Sorry to cut you off.
for
That
Joel.
Drummond is starting?
Oh no, but I mean, maybe
No, I
slowly
assume he
makes
will
him, but
too.
yeah.
I didn't know if he was gonna get weird.
But let's talk about this. The line goes from up Sixers giving 6.5 early in the week. Obviously, it's down to 2 because of no Joel Embiid. What are your thoughts on tonight's matchup? How are you feeling now that Joel is officially not active tonight? And just how do you feel about a rest night already? Let me rephrase because we wanted him to rest last Thursday.
Yeah, that's
How do you feel about playing the Detroit Pistons for 30 plus minutes and then sitting against the Portland Trailblazers in a much more difficult task without 2-1?
Had to be something related to Joel. I don't think management and coaching staff like mark this game down as this is the first game we'll give you rest. I think maybe he felt some type of discomfort. Maybe he said, "Hey, I need a night off" or something. But I'll tell you what, last week I would have been a lot more scared of this game than I am this week after seeing Tyrese Maxey defend the way he did. And now Damian Lillard's a whole different beast than Trae
Right.
Young. So it's a different story. It's going to be a tougher task for a kid that's in his second year. But it's all going to, I mean, not all, but Andre Drummond, we're going to see what we really got him here for.
Mm-hmm.
This is the role he wanted. We want him to be a filler for when Embiid's out. Can he give us 20 and 20 tonight? Or is he going to be Dwight Howard 2.0 and where he looked really good in nights Joel was on the court, but nights Joel was off the court, he looked not very good at all because it's tough to adjust your playbook entirely. And the Sixers playbook consists of the big creating, especially this year without Ben. So I'm really excited to see what Andre Drummond does tonight. We're also going to, I assume we're going to see some B-ball Paul, which is cool for all the processors out there that love late second round picks as guys that get minutes. But I would also like to see Philly play a little bit of small ball 5 with Niang. I don't know if they will, but it's going to be really interesting tonight.
Yeah. Real quick side note, you mentioned the second round picks and you mentioned the processors, and earlier I said, Maxey's making it difficult on Doc to make that adjustment or make that switch, so to speak. Someone who is making it easy, Isaiah Joe has made it very easy for Doc not to implement him into the rotation. Which may end up being a good thing because the last thing we need is Doc Rivers having more confusion and more bodies to throw out there and having to run through 11 or 12 man personnel. Just the less, the better. I think at this point in the year. You hit the nail right on the head though. Obviously, the talking point to me is Andre Drummond, and no, that's not you, and that's not me, and I don't think you saying Andre Drummond is going to be the star of tonight or the reason the Sixers win. But it's what do you get from him in that starting role? I said it so many times. I love this offseason acquisition because this dude, he's still very young. Like I think Andre Drummond's 27, 28 years old. He's still young. And he's like a career 20 and 14, 20 and 15 type of guy. Leads to Saturday night in 13 minutes. I believe he had 8 points and 11 rebounds, or 8 points and 12 rebounds, or whatever it was. Andre Drummond can come in and produce. Like you said, we saw that a lot with Dwight Howard last year. How many nights did we see Dwight Howard come in, only give you 11 or 12 minutes, but give you 13 rebounds and 2 blocks? But then in a starting role, it shrinks because he's exposed. He's out there for too long. He becomes overly exposed. Is Andre Drummond still, his former self? Is Andre Drummond able to go out there and, 20-20, obviously you said would be like the end all be all, the goal, the highest, the ceiling for him tonight. But if Andre Drummond can go out there and give you 16 and 12 tonight, and handle Yusuf Nurkic in the paint and keep him off the glass a bit, I think would be huge. Now, here's my question for you again. There's two sides to this. Obviously, what do you think? Let's start the offensive side. Obviously, like you said, the playbook shrinks, the playbook changes entirely when Joel Embiid's not on the floor and when he doesn't start games, because almost every possession the ball is going to Joel Embiid's hands. Without him out here, what do you expect the offense to look like? Do you see more Tyrese Maxey usage? Do you see Tobias Harris, take control kind of as a point forward type tonight? Do you see Seth Curry get a lot more looks and a lot more one-on-one penetration types plays? What do you think you see from offensively tonight?
I think you're seeing a ton of pick and roll action with Andre Drummond being in line. He's a bruiser, sets hard screens, so I think you'll see a lot of Seth playing out of the pick and roll. You'll see Tyrese. I think you'll see more Tyrese out of the pick and roll, which is huge because he's really, really good out of the pick and roll. And then Tobias is going to get a lot of touches in a lot of spots that he likes, which I think is huge. Another thing to note about Drummond, like this is a tryout year for the guy, basically. Like
Right.
Andre Drummond's playing on the league minimum, or the vet minimum, I should say. He's going to come in tonight with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, as in like teams are going to see what he can do as a starting center in the NBA that need one. Like you look at a lot of teams in the NBA that don't have one. Like this time last year, Boston didn't have one. Obviously, they got Al Horford back, but just teams like that are on the cusp of trying to get there and trying to get through a Joel Embiid, trying to get through a Giannis, trying to get through a Jokic, just trying to get through a DeAndre. Teams need bigs in this league right now, and 28 years old Andre Drummond is nowhere near out of the realm of the NBA. So he's gonna have a good night, but you're gonna see a lot of him just dive into the paint, catching balls in the dunker spot and throwing them down. I really do think he's gonna have a big night. I'm excited for it, to be honest.
All right. So Gint, we haven't gotten the players of the game yet, but Gint might be going with Joel Embiid's replacement. I don't know yet. I want to go to the other side of the floor defensively, and I'll defer to you because you are the coach. Defensively, what do you think is the game plan tonight? We talk about the issues with the Sixers small backcourt in Seth Curry and Tyrese Maxey. Now teams have kind of picked at them a little bit. Obviously, you're talking about one of the league's best offensive backcourts in all the NBA with CJ and Dame. How do the Sixers slow them two specifically down, and how do the Sixers limit Portland offensively?
It's tough to slow those two down, you know what I mean? But I assume Maxey's going to get the first draw at Dame. You'll see a lot of Matisse on Dame, I think, as well. Those two are kind of going to be guarding teams' ball carriers, I assume. And then Danny Green will get the job. CJ McCollum, Cork, Shake will probably get looks at him as well. But the job is just not letting one of them get 40. Like you just have to make them work for a lot of their buckets. And then, even Norman Powell. Norman Powell's another good body.
Right.
I assume they'll probably let Seth run around with him a little bit. But there's no limiting those two. It's beyond tough to do, especially asking Tyrese Maxey to do it and 90-year-old Danny Green. But it's going to be what Philly can do on offense to think if they can stay in this game. Let me rephrase. I think Philly has a really good chance of winning this game. But Philly has to find a way to score without Joel Embiid, without one of the most used NBA players this year so far. So Philly's got to do a really good job on the offensive end, as much as just trying to slow Dame down, make Dame work, make CJ work.
If this was college, I'd be all about throw the zone at him, throw the playbook at him, throw the zone at him, and make them beat you from the outside, especially with Dame struggling early in the year from deep. But obviously will not and should not be the case for, I'd sprinkle it in there a little bit tonight if I was Doc Rivers, especially without having Joel Embiid back there to help and, anchor that defense in the paint. Drummond obviously provides less of a threat and more of a weakness down on the block as well. So, yeah, man, I guess it's not a let Dame and CJ do whatever, but I guess another way I could ask you is it kind of just, those two, limit them as best we can. Don't let one of them get 40 or 50, but kind of just take away everything else.
Yeah, but you don't want to.
Who else is going to beat you realistically on Portland?
No, I agree with that. And you don't want to let anyone else beat you, but at the same time, it's like, don't leave Tyrese Maxey on an island with one of the league's best point guards because Robert Covington's standing next to him. Which also, if they do a Robert Covington tribute video, wait, is the game in Portland?
No, it's home.
No, it's in Philly. If they do a Robert Covington tribute video, I'm out. I'm never being a fan again. I swear to God.
He's been back since then.
I think he has too, but I don't remember there being like a big tribute video.
I don't know if there was, but I don't think at this point he's been gone for quite some time now. What was that? 2017 or 2018 when he got out of here?
So 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have to worry about that. But
thank God.
I'm just looking at the numbers here. Here's one thing that really sticks out to me. Pace. Portland, 3rd in the NBA in pace. Sixers, 30th in pace. How do the Sixers combat that? What do you do if you're Doc and the 76ers? Do you try to take it to Portland, or do you try to make them play your game, slow them down, and limit fast breaks for them?
The biggest thing with that is you have to make shots.
Right.
You can't let Portland scores quick, like you said. It's quick pace. It's a miss, an outlet to Dame, a 45-footer, a miss, a 45-footer. They score so rapidly. They have for the last X amount of years, but that's the biggest thing. And then you obviously want to try to slow them down because you're not going to keep up the pace of those two guys without Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Or at least you don't think you will, unless Philly comes out and shoots the lights out, which the way Seth Curry shoots is not out of the realm. So, but yeah, Andre Drummond can really, I think, do some damage on Yusuf Nurkic. So I think Philly really can kind of still beat these guys up in the paint with Tobias Harris as well. Like I said, he's been really good inside 15 feet so far this year. So you do want to try to slow them down, but at the same time, you have to make shots to slow them down.
Yeah.
You can't. Long rebounds lead to runouts, lead to buckets. So that's the biggest thing for Philly tonight.
Well, there are two things before we get to our players of the game and get you guys up on out of here. One of Andre Drummond's jobs tonight is going to be to clean up the glass and keep Yusuf Nurkic off of it. I think Nurk's coming into this game off of back-to-back, I think like 13 and 17 rebound nights. Portland, as a team, are 3rd in rebounds per game and 7th in offensive rebounds. Reversely, the Sixers are 27th in rebounds and 28th in offensive rebounds. So the glass is going to play a major factor in tonight. Obviously, will also play a factor into pace. But Gint, to go off of your shot-making point, the 76ers are shooting the ball at an alarming rate so far this year. They are 1st in the NBA in field goal percentage, 3rd in the NBA in 3-point field goal percentage, 1st in the NBA from the free throw stripe. They are stroking the ball early on this year. They also are the highest rated offensive team in the NBA. So final thoughts before we get to stars of the game and predictions for tonight. What's your read on this team? Because we have had our discussions of Doc's late game offense. They don't score in the final 5.5 minutes of the Brooklyn game. They look stagnant. You get pissed off at Doc Rivers and this offense late in games. But I just read you the numbers, and they are the number 1 offensive rated team in the NBA through 6 games. So what's your overall take on that? Like, what can this team be? It's confusing to me.
So here's interesting for you. I believe you said they're number 1 in the NBA in offensive rating. I'm pretty sure they're last in the NBA in passes made of its entirety. So, or they're in the bottom 5, I believe I read. So, and the other night, the night against Atlanta, it was the second least amount of passes they threw in a game, but the ball was still hopping around. They were just efficient passes that led to easy looks. So, remember how we talked about sample size with the Eagles and how you're not going to do anything until sample size? This is the opposite in terms of I'm excited to see the sample size of if they've unlocked Tyrese Maxey to the fullest yet. They did a lot of I'm pretty sure Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid out of the pick and roll has produced like a 66% scoring rate. So if they find a way to unlock that point guard position and make that point guard position a scoring role rather than stand in the corner, stand in the dunker spot, give the ball to Joel, have him stand there, I think this offense can get really scary. But the ball has to hop around. It can't be too much isolation. We don't have Steph Curry. We don't have Kevin Durant. We don't have those kind of guys.
We don't have Damian Lillard.
Yeah, we do have Tobias Harris, who has been, again, awesome inside 15 feet, whether it's catch off the isolation or play out of like a dribble handoff. So it's tough to get a read this early. It's a small sample size. I mean, the season as a whole has been a small sample size, and now you're playing the fact of what's been going on before the season,
Right.
obviously with Ben trying to bring in a whole new point guard to run a whole new system. Didn't have your backup point guard, so it's too early to make a read. I want to say there's optimism though after Saturday. I truthfully do.
I do too. This team, I'm never down on this team. I think they're going to compete in the Eastern Conference, but as far as the ceiling goes, like before the season started and early parts of the season, my mind never went championship. And no, I'm not saying because they beat the Atlanta Hawks, my mind went championship, but it gave me a sense of optimism. And even as is, they are a really competitive team. They haven't had Joel Embiid be Superman yet, and they're 4-2, and they just beat up, a team that I'm not saying that there's people or analysts out there that are saying the Atlanta Hawks are winning the Eastern Conference this year, but you're talking about one of the top two teams in the East last year, who knocked you out, and you made a statement on Saturday night, and you looked really good doing it. All right, let's get to tonight's matchup, Gint. What are your predictions, and who is your star of the game? Can they win their third straight at home of this homestand without Joel Embiid tonight?
I'm going to say yeah, and it's going to follow my player of the game. I think Seth's going to take advantage of this backcourt. Shoot the lights out, like 5+ made threes. And I think Philadelphia's going to win. And I want to shout out Andre Drummond too. I'm really excited to see what Andre Drummond does tonight. I really am.
It's a weird thing to say, but I like it, Gint. Man, I don't want to say they lose because they are playing really well over the last two games as a team before this one, but I don't think the Sixers win tonight. I hope I'm wrong, and in order for me to be wrong, my star of the game is going to be Tyrese Maxey. I think without Joel Embiid tonight, like I said, Joel Embiid is not, taking 19, 20 shots per game so far this year. He's only around that 13 to 15 mark. But without him on the floor tonight, you're going to see a lot more of Tyrese Maxey, hopefully, like you said, in the pick and roll, letting him get downhill. I think he takes advantage of that backcourt that Portland has. And I think Tyrese Maxey may even put up a 20 spot tonight against Portland. He's been averaging around 16 on the year. I think he eclipses 20 tonight in Joel Embiid's absence. I'm going to say that the Sixers don't come away with a win, but again, it's very possible that they do. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. As always, I am your host, Dylan Davis. You can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98. And of course, give my faithful co-host to my right a follow on Twitter at Matt_McGinty. And give our network a follow on Twitter at DSM_media. Click that link tree in our bio to take you to our TeePublic site. If you want to support DSM Media, if you want to support any of the hosts, any of the shows on DSM Media, we do have merch up on our TeePublic site. Here's a Phaithful Fanatics long sleeve shirt. Gint slacking on the merch as well. I think he's got some older merch, but always representing what would have been our name, but we weren't able to do so, as you so kindly pointed out, probably for some legal issues if we would have went that route. But for myself, for Gint, for DSM Media, and for the 76ers, have a nice night and trust the process, right, Gint? Oh, wow, I shook his head. I wasn't expecting that at all. Let's try to get him at the end. All right, everybody, have a nice night.